Hello, my name is Mark Hadmaker. Welcome to our tape on extreme boxing. What we've done here is we're taking boxing techniques from the pre-ruled period, which is pre-Marquis of Queensberry rules, and when they still had lots of fun things still in the game. You got the elbows, the headbutts. They were actually still using cross buttocks throws. Get some foot stomps involved, pivot punches. We'll explain what those are later, and bring up the sophistication of today's modern-day training techniques, and really marry these two, the old and the new, together, and create a kind of a whole new system, which I think are going to serve you pretty well. Now, our perspective, we're putting these martial arts together, is entirely a Western martial arts perspective. We're looking at Western boxing, Western wrestling with the hooks, the submissions back in, and we filter all this through Western empiricism, which means we take things into the laboratory, the dojo, the gym, the ring, and we actually try every drill out. We try out every portion of the arsenal, the defensive arsenal. We make sure all these things work. Now, what we're going to do with this tape, we're going to start you out with all the basics, from stance, moving you through footwork to movement, your entire offensive arsenal, your defensive arsenal, and then we're going to show you how to put some combinations together. We're going to show you how to put counterpunch flow chains together, talk about sparring, and a few other drills from there. Now, we're not going to be exhaustive on some of these later portions. We're going to show you how to build chains on your own. Now, we will be exhaustive when we're looking at how to put the first portions together, all your building blocks, your foundations, the stances, and the arsenal, to make sure that you've got the best form you've got. And then from there, we're just leaving it up to your creativity to take these ingredients we've given you and create your own recipes from there. And really, the only limit will be your own creativity and how much time you're willing to put into this. Now, to keep in mind, you can't just watch the tape once and go, oh, I got the whole thing down. There's a lot of information going to be included in here, and your job is to watch it, try every single aspect, every technique, drill it and drill it hard. Make sure it becomes you're going to carve some new neural nets, some new groove it into your musculature. Make sure you can respond with everything in the tape, and then constantly be refining and recreating your own combinations and techniques and drills all the way through. And I think once you've seen this, you get the idea of how we build them up. You're going to be able to build these things on your own. So let's get training. Good luck. When we're talking about putting together our boxing system, the first thing we need to address, of course, is going to be your stance. When we're talking about stance, I'm going to have my demo standing in a static position, even though we know everything we're doing in actual fight is going to be fluid and dynamic. We got to start out the static position to make sure we're putting everything together in the proper order. One of the things we have to remember when we're doing this boxing, the extreme form, is we're just not boxers only worried about the punches coming in, and we're also worried about the kicks, the elbows, the headbutts, and of course the shoots. So our stance is going to be a little bit wider than usual because we have to address the concerns of the boxer and the wrestler. So we're going to kind of split the distance a little bit, where boxer's going to be a little bit up on the toes, a little bit of a narrow base. And the first thing we have to look at, if we can imagine standing on the face of the clock. You just stand to the side just for a moment, Corey, for me. If we're standing on the face of the clock, if you have a right lead forward, your lead foot is going to be at 12 noon, and your left foot's going to be back on 8 o'clock. Now, if you have a left lead stance, just reverse that. You're going to be left foot, noon, and your right foot is going to be back at 4 o'clock. Now, I'm a right lead forward, so I'm going to train from my comfortable side. So I've got my right foot, my lead foot at noon, and my rear foot is over at 8 o'clock. Now, boxing stance, this is about a shoulder width apart, but I'm not just worried about boxing. I'm worried about the shoot coming in, so I'm going to have to be a little bit wider on this clock face. So I'm just spreading out my 8 o'clock foot a little bit wider. Most of the weight is going to be on the balls of my feet, but I am not up on my toes. I can still feel my heels on the feet, but I still feel most of the weight ready to shift coming through the balls of the feet the entire time. My knees will stay slightly bent throughout the entire course of my movement. Even during this static stance, I'm standing here. I'm never going to come upright the entire way. As soon as my hips come up, this is the time for someone to shoot in and take me down. We've got to make this important all the way through. Even though we're working on boxing techniques, we are still concerned with the shoot coming in the entire time. You want to use your boxing to set up the shoots and the takedowns just so someone else can bring you down at the same time. So we get wide base, bend the knees, weight is being felt on the toes, the heels are not up. We're not bouncing around. It's a little bit of wasted energy, and also a good wrestler is going to notice whenever your hips rise up, this is a good time to shoot in on you. Also taking a look at this, if I'm facing directly in on my opponent, what I'm going to do is I want my chest facing him, but I'm going to slightly have my feet turned off to my inside, meaning towards the inside of my chest. The reason I'm doing this, for example, if our kicks are coming in, we get some round kicks coming in, we get some thigh kicks coming in, rear leg kick going in. If I've got the side of my thigh directly in, anyone's taken this shot before knows what that feels like. If I get my feet slightly to the inside when the kick comes in, it gives me a little bit of time to feed them into the hamstring if need be. I know some people are going to tell you they're going to be able to point the knee into it. That's a great technique as well. Pretty common in some Filipino martial arts. Again, what we're looking at, since there's not a lot of kicking in the system that we're doing here, when this kick is coming in, we're looking to even lower the base even more and shoot in behind the kick. So when he does throw that kick, I'm already low on this. I can drop my base and shoot in behind. Give me the kick. So by giving him the hamstring, I'm protecting the outside of the quad, which is pretty much where most of the pain's going to come in anyway. So I'm back on my 12 and 8. I'm feeling the weight on the balls of the feet. Knees are slightly bent. My feet are turned slightly to the inside, pointing towards my chest. Now my hand position here, my elbows are resting on my ribs. This naturally has to protect my rib the entire way. If we're doing standard boxing, I give you a profile, they're able to take their elbows out from the ribs to some degree. But they're not worried about the kick being shot up underneath the ribs. We are. So we got to rest the elbows on the ribs, let alone the 5 to 8 to 10 rounds anyway. That's where your hands are going to drop anyway. Now, once our hands are here, our hands form what is called the box position. As far as I'm concerned, this is the real reason it's called boxing. I'm forming a box with my arms. My forearms are parallel. Add another angle up top. Here's the top of the box. Here's the bottom of the box here. Keep my forearms parallel, elbows resting on ribs the entire way. I keep my shoulders hunched up, particularly my lead shoulders. If I'm talking on free hands on the phone, I've stuck the phone here, got the shoulder up the entire way, just trying to look like Quasimodo at this point. And I bring my fist in and I touch them on my cheeks. I always want to feel these on my cheeks the entire way. This is my little mnemonic to remind me to keep my face covered up the entire way. As soon as you drop this shoulder and travel your hands out from your face, this is when you're going to get blasted. Someone's going to be able to bring you down. We've got to protect this jawline at all times. So from the bottom to the top, weight is on the balls of the feet. We got our lead foot at 12 and 8, or at 12 and 4. And we've got our knees are slightly bent. Coming up the rest of the body, we know that we're turning slightly to the inside. Our forearms are parallel. Our elbows are resting onto our ribs, and we are touching our cheeks with our fist the entire time. Our chin is down, tucked, and we've got our shoulder up the entire way. Now this is going to be your basic position, our basic reference position. We're going to bring all these other techniques out from. So this is your stance. We're going to start talking about how to move it dynamically. But first and foremost, get a mirror, check yourself out in it, and make sure that you've got everything we just discussed. Check back the videotape if you need to. Always use the mirror as your feedback. Once you've got your stance down, it's time to look at the movement. Again, stance is your static positioning, but the fight doesn't really happen that way. Nobody just stands here like this the entire fight and throws punches from one position. You've got to move the entire time. So if we go back to our 12 and 8 or 12 and 4 position, depending on whatever lead you have forward, a few concepts to keep in mind. One, always keep your feet a shoulder width apart, even whenever you're moving the entire time. Resist the urge to bring your feet together at any time. Anytime you have this narrow base, this is the time that, one, if you're hit high, with a good shot, it's going to rock you a little bit more. You don't have your legs to act as shock absorbers. And also, if you're shot in at this particular time when your feet are together, you will go down. So, same thing, you don't keep your feet close together. You got to keep a shoulder width apart the entire time that you're moving. Also, you will not cross your feet at any time during your motions. This, bad move right here. Very big no-no right here. The people will shoot in and bring you down immediately. So when we are moving, what do? We're going to step and drag in all positions. I want to try and keep my feet in contact with the mat, the surface, the pavement at any and all times. And also, as a general rule, whatever direction I want to go to, the foot that is closest to that direction will move first. For example, if I'm going to move forward, my lead foot, my 12 o'clock foot, will step forward. I will drag the rear foot following that. When I move backward, rear foot will move in that direction, drag the lead foot. When I move off to my right foot, move in that direction and drag, left, and drag. No rocket science here again. Step, drag, step, drag, step, drag, step, drag. If I want to hit this angle, step, drag, back angle, step, drag. Not a lot to it really, just keeping the feet at least a shoulder width apart. As soon as I come to a static position, I'm trying to keep my 12 and 8 o'clock base the entire time. There's no bouncing going on, like you can't get away with in some boxing. Again, they're only worried about the punches coming in. We fear, we respect the shoot at any and all times, so I've got to stay low. Can't get into anything like this. I've got no hopping. I'm not moving. If I want to go forward, I don't move my rear foot first. it's always the lead foot, the foot closest to the direction I want to go, make the movement. A great drill for this is one, get in front of the mirror and just work all your motion, solo, by yourself. I'll show you how to do a pivot here in just a moment, solo. I'm going to bring in my partner and show you a mirror drill. We're using your partner as the mirror, and that way he can give you a little bit of live feedback, get used to moving off of the live opponent. Now a pivot is nothing more than what it sounds like. You're using your lead foot as a hinge, and you're pivoting back and forth. So for example, if I want to pivot to my inside, which means towards my chest, my weight will be in the balls of my feet on the lead foot, my rear foot will step around. This is a pivot. If I want to pivot to the outside, moving off to my back, the lead foot again is anchored, the balls of the feet on the mat, pivot to the outside. Simple enough, pivot inside, pivot outside. The lead foot is always the hinge. There's your pivot, there's your pivot. Let me bring in Corey for just a moment, show this mirror drill we're discussing here. So for example, I will give him the leads. If I step forward, step drag forward, he will step drag to the back. If I step back, he step drags forward. I go right, he's going to go left, creating a circle. I go left, he goes left. See, I'm just following my motion. Retreat and back, here and here. You get more and more dynamic with this as the motions get down. And you can have your partner watch your feet the entire time and let you know if you're making any mistakes, like I just did here, bringing my feet together. Eventually, when you get higher in the drills, you can exploit this. If he does see me bring my feet together, he's allowed to shoot in on me at that particular time and take his shoot in on me if he needs to. Now, to put the pivot in, what I will do is I will feed him some slow-mo punches. For example, if we get him bringing in just a moment, if I want him to pivot to his inside, towards his chest, I feed a punch and move past him. Let him pivot to this inside. The feed with his hand, he'll pivot outside. Now we'll put this in with the entire little bit of floor work mirror drill we just did. So step, 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 step. Bring it in for the pivots. Pivot, pivot, drag, step, drag, step, drag, step, drag, pivot, 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 drag. So you pretty much get the idea there. Just keep your movement going the entire time, just isolating the footwork at this time, and notice every time we come back to one static position, examine your posture. Weights on the ball of the feet, knees bent, everything we already discussed as far as the stance goes. Get your movement in, stop occasionally, examine the stance, work this again and again and again, and then it'll be time to put in your upper body movement, and then put together all your arsenals, and then go through making the combinations, start banging at each other. That's where all the fun comes in. Okay, you've got your stance, you've got your footwork, it's time to look at the upper body movement, okay? A few things to keep in mind. Your body has to always be in motion because it makes it harder for target acquisition. It's like, just trying to say, it's hard to hit a moving target. So when here, there are a few rules as far as the movement goes. One is whenever I'm moving, I only have to take my upper body one head length. So I don't need to be doing anything wild and menacing like this, like Joe Frazier in the early 70s. So one head length is enough. And the other thing I need to do is take my hands with me as well. There's a tendency for people to think they're doing movement, but they're just moving their head the entire way, but they're leaving their hands behind, which means they're opening up their jawline the entire way. You keep those ideas in mind, you pretty much got it. There's two different types of movement you can use. You've got your long rhythm and you've got your short rhythm. Your long rhythm is nothing more than usually whenever you're in the outside range and you're usually just bobbing your head back and forth. It's usually more of a bouncing off the legs. And profile is going to give you something more along these lines. We have to assume that I'm in the outside range, shooting some long range shots, and I'm keeping my head going back and forth. Hands are going with me. It's one head length the entire way. Short rhythm assumes that I'm coming on the inside. I'm doing some infighting, and this is the point where I'm going to start taking my head from side to side. If I start going long rhythm on the inside range, I'm usually leaning myself right into an uppercut, so side to side movement is enough. So usually I get a little bit more compact, bend those knees, side to side. Now the best way to learn the long and the short rhythm, get yourself in front of a mirror, back and forth, throw some of your shadow boxing combinations, and just watch yourself and make sure that you've got some rhythm going the entire way. Long rhythm, back, just keep one head length the entire way. That'll set you up with your long and short rhythm. Now it's time for the fun stuff. We've looked at the footwork, the stances, a little bit of the movement. Now it's time to start actually hitting some things. Let's look at all the striking tools involved in the extreme boxing system. Of course, there's the 5 punches commonly used in boxing now, but there's a few things that we're reinstating that were used back when Jack Broughton was doing some bare knuckles boxing in the early 1800s. Some pivot punches, the elbows, the headbutts, and some of the foot stomps are back in. You could also do a cross buttocks throw, which is pretty much more along the lines with the wrestling. We mainly keep this with the striking tools right now. Now, if you're actually going to be striking in the street, of course, you can make a fist if you so choose. I would recommend striking with the heel of the hand. Usually whenever you're training with a partner, it's best to put on the gloves. You will be making a fist, and just go ahead and learn how to roll a fist correctly. Whenever you're rolling a fist, you're going to roll from the little finger up the palm. So little finger, ring finger, middle finger, index, all the way in. This allows me to compact this fist a little bit more tightly all the way through. Now we're going to look at the striking surface of the fist. Now commonly, I've heard this for years and years, that in most martial arts circles, they're wanting to strike with the index and the middle finger knuckle. I'm telling you, this lines up better with the bones of the forearm, and it gives you a little bit more power with reinforcement. I personally happen to think it's bullshit. Now, you're going to find if you actually start striking things, hitting a heavy bag along this waist, if you're really thinking about just striking with these knuckles, you start pronating your wrist, start tearing the tendons up through here and come out with some wrist problems. What we're going to do instead is strike with the back 3 knuckles. It's just not my idea. Jack Dempsey, a lot of the old timers felt the same way about this. Hit with the back 3 knuckles, also with the flat of the fingers as well. It's just not trying to hit with this small cutting surface area. It's this whole entire compacted rock that you've created with your fist by rolling from the small finger in. That's why we were so big on rolling from the outside in to compact this one particular area. Let's go ahead and start looking at the punches now, because we're going to throw these things. One thing to keep in mind when throwing all the strikes, you want these things to follow whatever path they follow out, you want them to retract along the same path the entire way. If you don't do this, you're going to be opening yourself up to receive a shot yourself, open up to a counter punch, or just the chaos, someone flailing away, they're going to catch you somewhere. So for example, if I throw a punch straight out from the jaw, it's got to retract straight into the jaw. Anything that would swing to the inside, sometimes you'll see people throwing punches along this style right here. We call this swimming it. No good. I'm throwing my hand across center line. I'm opening up my jaw the entire way. So this is a horizontal swim. You can also swim down on the vertical axis as well. So horizontal and the vertical kind of starts looking like pawing. What we're trying to do is everything's got to come right back the same path that you threw this punch. Keep you some maximum coverage. Also, when you're throwing punches, you're going to want to expel air at the same time. You can hear a little bit of when you're throwing your punches. Now you can do this through your mouth, or you can breathe through your nose. I would prefer that my suggestion would be to breathe through the nose, because when you're breathing through the mouth, you usually have your jaw opened a little bit, and whenever you've got that, if you do get caught in the jaw, easy to get this broken. So you're going to breathe through the nose. That's why lots of times you're going to see boxers when they're fighting, you're going to see the mucus flowing. Well, they're keeping the jaw clenched so they don't break the jaw, but it's better to have a little bit of something to wipe off than picking your teeth up or having your jaw wired shut. Also, you're expelling air at the same time, because as soon as you open yourself up to throw a punch, I just use the words that you opened yourself up to throw the punch. If I throw this jab out here, I've opened up this entire body line. Whenever I receive some impact at the same time, if I'm already expelling air, a little bit less internal pressure allows me to receive this impact a little bit better. I'm not happy about it by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll be able to survive this thing. Let's look at the jab, which is going to be your bread and butter punch. You've got to have a jab no matter what system you're in. It is still the bread and butter of boxing. If you're going to be doing mixed martial arts, you're going to have it. If you're just going to do shooting only, you know you can't shoot and take someone unless you can touch them. And the best way to find out if you can touch them is, can you reach them with the jab? If you can tap them with the jab, it's time to shoot. You can't touch them, you can't shoot with them. Same thing in boxing. If you can't touch them with the jab, there's no other punch that's going to reach them. So you're going to make sure you got this jab down. Now, to throw the jab straight on angle, I'm going to make sure, just like in boxing as in wrestling, I've got to get my hips behind the movement. So I'm at 12 and 8. Whenever I throw the punch, it's coming directly off my cheekbone. I'm extending the punch. I take my shoulder with the motion, and my hip comes in with the motion at the same time. This gives me the power in the shot. On the profile, straight in, shoulder and hip the entire way. Now, this is where my power is coming from. If I just punch only from the shoulder, this is called an arm punch. Not going to be any power in this. I'm going to maybe, we call this a show jab. Whenever you see this kind of thing, I'm able to get them to blink their eyes, maybe get a flinch response out of them, but it really is not going to have any load power behind it. By getting my hips behind this punch, then it means something. So there's a big weight transfer where my feet are pretty much at 50-50 right now. As soon as I throw the punch, it's going to probably end up being 70-80% of the weight will sit on this lead foot as I shift my hips over the front of it. Common error when you first learn this, is whenever you're throwing the punch, you'll get your hips into it, but you'll see people actually lean their upper body out and away from it. Okay, I've just diminished my returns on this. I got my hip forward, I went back to 50%. I may even have 70% at this point on my back foot. No good, time to shoot in on me, and I've thrown a jab for no particular reason at that time. So, to throw the jab, straight out from the jaw, I take my hips into it, and I take my shoulder into it. Again, you notice by throwing the shoulder into it, it's going to give me at least an additional 6 to 8 inches into this punch. So, straight out, straight back. Out, back. Notice whenever I throw it, how I'm bringing my shoulder up to my jaw at the same time. I don't throw this with a level shoulder. Notice this distance between my shoulder and my jaw. Cross is going to come over the top and catch me. By keeping my shoulder up and my chin down the entire time, I'm protected the entire way. So to throw the punch, a few in real time. Notice using the short rhythm at this time. Profile. Okay, you have to work that jab a lot. You're going to need it. Now, the opposite number on the jab is going to be the cross. The punch thrown off your rear hand. Some people call it a reverse punch. Just a cross to us. Whenever you throw this punch, again, it's going to work from the feet up. I'm going to move off. I'm on my 12 and 8. I'm going to turn my feet to face both on the 12 o'clock. So I'm going noon with my feet. Whenever I throw this punch, I'm going to be raising my rear heel, can't even say it now, rear heel off the mat. The altitude, guys. Whenever I turn, bring that heel up. I don't wing it to the outside like I'm throwing a golf swing. Okay, this really gives me no stability. I'm pushing straight through the entire way. So 12 and 8, turn to the 12, and push. Whenever I push, I'll also be advancing my rear hip through the punch. So turn, push, hip comes through, then I'm able to put my shoulder behind the punch as well. So I turn, push, retract. Turn, push, retract. Straight on. Notice I'm trying to avoid throwing my heel to the outside. Straight on. A few in real time. Profile. Bringing the shoulder up to protect your jaw the entire way. Take a look at the lead hook now. Go ahead and tell you there's only one hook. You have a lead hook. You don't have a rear hook because this is coming from so far back. By the time I open up this rear angle here, a straight-in shot's going to beat this thing. So forget this. A rear hook is just like a haymaker. You don't really need it in your arsenal. To throw the lead hook, just like on the pivots we talked about earlier in the footwork, where I use the lead foot to walk around, I'm using the rear foot as a hinge this time. And if I drop my hands out of the equation for the moment, off my rear foot, my upper body is a door. Me slamming this door using the rear foot as the hinge. As such. Whenever I start adding in the hand motion with it, you notice this allows me to take my hips to be behind the punch the entire way. This is not a hook where I just throw my arms the entire way. This is going to be all pec and front deltoid. Okay? Don't have the musculature for this. But putting the whole body into it gives me really something to bang with. The other thing I'll do with it is I'll keep an extreme bend on my elbow. I'm going to keep a 90-degree angle on my arm. It's one fused piece of bone. I'm not going to get so far with it and then start extending my arm through it. Whenever I throw this punch, if I'm throwing this in an infighting situation, it's a close range, I'll be leaving my fist horizontal all the way through. If I'm throwing this, the long range hook, I'll feel like Trinidad, open my palm facing to the inside. Long range hook. Close range, long. Close, long. Close, long. And I was using the door slamming all the way through. A few in real time. Long. Immediate recovery. Profile. Short. Long. Long. There. Now let's look at the uppercuts, which are only used for infighting. We've got to be all the way inside for these to work. Never going to lead with an uppercut. An uppercut off the lead hand, rear hand, pretty much they're going to work the same way as far as the dynamics go and the setups go. What I'm going to do, this is not an uppercut. Dropping my hand and opening up my entire body to throw the shot. What I'm going to be doing first is if I'm throwing with my lead hand, I'm going to dip my legs on that side and profile. Dip, dip, and I'm going to think about scooping my lead hip upwards. So dip, scoop upwards. dip, scoop upwards. Whenever I dip, then I can bring this fist out about 6 to 8 inches from my chin, and then stand up through the shot. Notice whenever I stand up, I don't continue on a rise with it. I never let my fist travel beyond this upward plane of my shoulders. Here. Up, dip, dip, and up. Same thing if I throw it off the rear side. I turn, just like we did in the cross. My 12 and 8 turns into the 12. Turn the hip forward, dip on this side, travel the fist out about 6 to 8 inches from the shoulder. Stand up through it. Don't let it extend past the shoulder plane. Turn, up. Lead, rear. Lead, rear. Lead, rear. Straight on, lead. Real time. Rear. Okay, 5 basic punches of boxing. Jab, cross, lead hook, lead uppercut, rear uppercut. Once you've got your punch arsenal down, it's time to look at the other tools we can play with in the game, the ones that used to be in the game before the rules came in. You've got elbows, the pivot punches, you've got foot stomps, and you've got your headbutts. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the elbows are done. Let me pull Corey in here for just a few moments. Now, Muay Thai has some wonderful ways to throw the elbows, some great technique involved with it. These are fantastic. But as far as the way we're going to be setting it up, the old style boxing, they're a little bit more short and choppy because they're still trying to get back to the fist work a good deal. Where in Thai, you're going to have a lot of setup, long sweeping elbows. In the boxing, we're assuming that we're in Thai, assume stance. We're doing some tight end fighting. The elbows are going to come across more the lines of a short hook. So instead of actually throwing my hook where he actually would be caught with this hook, I'm going to throw it short and just let this little short choppiness catch him right in here. I don't have to do a whole setup along this lines as in Thai. Just short, standard elbow right in here. The whole time we could have still been throwing our body shots and still allowing these elbows to bang in and hit their target. Nothing more to it if you're just looking straight on with it. Just bringing it straight in. I'm not bringing up the hands in front of the forehead right now. This will work if you already got this down from previous Thai training. No quibble with that whatsoever. But it's not as necessary. This is just a little bit of an insert shot along with our punching. Same thing will work with the up elbows, little short choppy shots. We're on the inside, bam, just as the uppercut would travel up the center, let the elbow travel up the center as well. You can actually work a little bit of a sparring range with it, a controlled drill by throwing elbows up the center, and of course the horizontal angles the entire time. In addition to the elbows, there is also forearm strikes, which were called pivot punches in the old days. These pivot punches are nothing more than striking with the outer blade of the forearm or the inner blade of the forearm. The pivot punches usually was used whenever you missed with a hook. If I had a hook that came long and looping, if I was in a short range, the elbow still would have caught him. So if I'm throwing this hook, the hook catches him, great. If he's leaning in on the hook and I miss the hook, elbow catches him. If he zones out from the hook and I miss with it, on my retraction of the hook, I'm going to allow my arm to open up and catch him with the entire forearm. It's not going to be a hammer fist at all. We're catching him with the cutting bone straight in and back across the neck. Usually the target is soft tissue in the neck. Hitting the bone is fine, but you want the soft tissue. So again, if he's in close with me, I miss the hook, he's hitting the choppy elbow. If I miss the hook and he's out and away, I'm snapping back. On this snap back, my retraction, I've got my hook on this side, I'm bringing my hips back, and I'm letting my shoulder come back, and I'm just opening up the arm. Big step for just one moment, a big sweeping out motion. It is a total commitment motion, and there is an opening on it. You're going to feel very open on this one at first, because if I've missed with this hook and he's zoned back, I've opened up this entire line, and the only thing I've got available is I've got to give him this desperation swing to bring myself back into line. So again, I throw a hook, he zones out, I'm back in with the pivot punch. Wish I could tell you why it was called the pivot punch. Don't know, that's just how it's always been referred to. Now the inside pivot, usually coming from the inside the clinch. We talked about whenever the pivot's going to be the forearm shot. Last time there's still the clenching that comes up in boxing, not as much as the over and unders you're going to find in wrestling. But sometimes when we're in this close with a shot, it'd be nothing more than me as if I'm throwing a jab directly behind. Let me turn you this way. A jab directly behind his neck. Whenever I throw this jab, I'm going to turn my thumb to the inside and allow him to catch the soft tissue of the neck again with the inner forearm. So I'm going to, bam, catch him in here. Doesn't look like much of a shot. But whenever you're throwing it full force, it will bang pretty good. I know something very similar in some Filipino martial arts is catch them all with the crook of the arm or with the bicep as well. But sometimes what can happen with this, fight goes on for a while, I find that catching the chin and the bicep has a tendency to frog that muscle up for me. So I find hitting with the forearm is a little bit of a better strike. But again, we're in close fighting. I throw the jab back and behind the neck. And usually what's done after this anyway is we're going to throw it directly into the headbutts or directly into more elbows or into the foot stomps. We're going to start talking how to put the proper technique on some of these headbutts anyway. The headbutt, a free headbutt, let me circle you back around in just a moment. A free headbutt just means I have no cohesion. I'm not touching my opponent at the time. We're just banging away. And as soon as I see an opening right in here, I'm just going to use from the hairline up to launch in with the headbutt. Usually they're best being sprung from the legs. I'm not using my neck. There's no neck flexion on this movement at all. I'm dropping my knees and driving in with the top of the head. None of these are, all these punches, everything we're showing in the arsenal are meant to be used in concert. It's all part of a combination. We're never going to be throwing one shot, pull back and say, hey, did I win with this thing? Be throwing punches. You got your pivot shots, your elbows, your headbutts are coming in the entire time. Everything's being pulled together. Not a lot of technique on that free headbutt, as I said, beyond dipping at the knees and then rising back up into it. A clenched headbutt is nothing more than what it sounds. We're working from a clenched position, hanging on tight, and using the side or the top of the head to occasionally rake back and putting in your headbutts. Again, nothing major. They're pretty prehistoric when you get down to it. Just be aware that this is available. You're not allowed to use it in boxing anymore, but you are allowed to throw it in this particular system. Now, what does have some technique on it will be what we call the false clenched headbutt, which is nothing more when we're fighting, we're throwing this. If I am able to come in with the clinch, we're talking about if I get a waistband clinch. Let me turn. I'm able to grip waistband of his boxing trunks here, or his NHB shorts, or his gi belt, or his jeans. It doesn't matter. I'm able to grip right in here. Because no, lots of times when we're shooting for a high clinch or a body lock, we're looking to shoot around the body anyway. Be able to roll them up and bring them down. This false clinch position just allows me to have one hand in position. I will use my free hand to actually catch him on the shoulder. So what I'll be doing is pulling his waistband and pulling his hip tight to my hip. It's a pulling motion. Round, pulling into my hip. My free hand will lever onto his shoulder. So I get this motion going here. Now, by dipping at the knees at the same time and giving him my pulling motion on this false clinch and standing up through, he's going to catch the headbutt directly underneath the chin. So I'm here, here, and here. So you'll see how much I can manipulate and open him up. Even if he's trying to keep closed position on me in here, there's my open up. So whenever I dip at the knees and stand back up through it, there's my shot right up the center. So to drill those together, because it's tough, very tough to drill the elbows in with the punches without really hurting each other, you would have your boxing gloves on, throw your punches, and then with your pivot shots, again, very hard to take, but whenever you're throwing around, we can be throwing back and forth, getting used to throwing some of these shots, faking the clinches, the false headbutts all the way through. Once you have the clinch as well, we talked about in pre-ruled boxing, you were allowed to throw the foot stomps in. Well, not technically allowed, but you did it. There was no foul called on it, which is nothing more than using your heel, striking anywhere from the toes, all the way up to where the shin bone is joining directly into the ankle, up and in. Up and in. It doesn't matter which foot you're throwing them off of. Just make sure you keep your feet wide. You're still trying to maintain your 12 and 8 to keep some base to it. So we'll kind of maintain a clinch, shuffle around a bit, throwing some foot stomps back and forth. And we'll just mimic those by striking next to the foot on the mat. And you can still mimic some of your body shots coming in, headbutts, and you're going to clinch firing away the entire time. Now, one other thing that was allowed in pre-ruled boxing, because they would fight from a clinch here, which looks a lot different than the standard boxing clinch, which is usually a high tie-up, they were allowed to throw. Okay, now this is not really within the confines of what we're trying to cover today, because takedowns, that's an art unto itself. But we have to be aware, that's one reason why we have our hips positioned away, because to get a good takedown of someone, I have to be in control of his hips. If I can get his hips into me, or if I can lower my base underneath him, I am going to take him down. And since we're aware of that for the shooting, the sake of someone shooting in on us, even though we're boxing, we're going to keep our hips out and respect the fact that someone can shoot in on us. So every time we are boxing, and as soon as we hit a clinch, you will see us get our hips out and away. If one of us does not get our hips out in the way, we will go ahead and take the takedown as we see fit. Anyway, that is the arsenal in a nutshell. You got your punches, your pivots, your headbutts, your elbows, and your foot stomps. We've talked about how to hit, now let's talk about how not to get hit. Where's the fun of hitting someone if you're getting hit back at the same time? We're gonna run through the defenses for all the arsenal we just set up for you, all the punches, the pivot shots, the elbows, and everything. Starting with the jab, we've got several ways to defend against the jab. I'm gonna give you 8. I think all 8 are very, very good, and I wouldn't recommend you go, I'm going to pick 1 or 2, and these are the ones I like. I'd recommend that you become familiar with all 8, run them in multiple drills, and make sure you get, just like all the defenses we're going to show you, run them all as a drill, make sure you get familiar with them, because your hands will be in different reference positions at different times. The first bread and butter defense against a jab is whenever someone throws a jab, it's just called a jab catch. Whenever he throws his jab, I use my rear hand, not my lead hand. He throws his jab off his lead. My rear hand will open up, travel about 6 to 8 inches in front of my face, and I just receive it in my palm. Just like it says, it's a catch. Shows the punch, there it is. A couple of mistakes with the jab would be me reaching out too far for it. This assumes I have prior knowledge that he's throwing a jab, which I do now because it's a drill, but this will, if you drill this way, you're going to get to where you're always reaching out and trying to paw at a punch, which means I'm leaving my jaw open the entire time. So when the jab comes in, here's my catch. Small travel, and I advance that shoulder towards the punch, allow it to land. We'll trade a few jabs right now. I'll throw. Notice there's a little bit of impact sound there. We're not receiving these lightly. If I just have my hand out here lightly beneath the punch, I'm going to get some little bit of back blow here and end up hitting myself. So when that comes out, that catch is a little bit of a, I'm smacking in on this thing. Make sure it doesn't come back to me. The other way I can treat this jab, the catch was assuming my hands are right in front of this punch as it comes in. Throw it again. My hands are slightly in the outside reference position, which hopefully they're not going to be because I'm going to be staying in proper stance the entire time. I'm going to throw a cuff or a parry against it, still using my rear hand. When he throws the jab, I'm coming against the outside of the glove, and I was hitting in the cuff, hence the name, just cuffing the punch. Whenever I do this, I'm going to avoid my defensive motion becoming a swim. I'm not doing an inside forearm block and sacrificing a lot of space here. Use lots of economy of motion here. Smack it, and then circle my hand right back to position. Smack and circle. There's cuff and circle. So he throws, cuff and circle, like that. Exchange a few. I'll throw. Again, you're hearing some impact there to make sure we're moving this punch out of our way. We can also get rid of these punches by using some upper body motion as well. When he throws the punch, slipping motion. When he throws, I can either take my body to the outside of the punch or the inside. The outside means I'm going to the outside of his body, away from his weapons. This is the safest place to put my slip in. Inside still has me miss this punch. We'll flip it around. You see I am leaning into another weapon here. So if I am slipping the inside, I have to be extra diligent about this shot coming into me. It's not an altogether no-no. It's better to have an inside slip and go ahead and receive this jab. But if you have your druthers, you want to go to the outside on your slipping. And a slip is going to be nothing more, over here please, sir. It's going to be nothing more than you angling your body slightly to an inside or outside angle. And I will do so by, if I'm slipping to my inside, I turn my feet to face inside and then dip at the knees, not just at the waist. If I'm bending over at the waist, if Corey bends over the waist for me, he's going to receive a snap down, go to the mat, or he's going to receive an uppercut, bend at the waist again. There's the shot, or again, there's the shot, or worst of all, there's the shot as well. So he's got to turn, bend at the knees on his slip. So just bend down at the knees. That's the best way to go. He's got his gloves up in front of his face the entire time. Slipping to the outside of my body. Again, turn my feet in that direction and bend at the knees. So work on the outside slip whenever he throws the punch. Again, I turn and I dip at the knees. Again, turn, dip at the knees, dip at the knees, dip at the knees. Exchange a few. Here it is. Here. with the inside angle. Whenever I throw, notice you're going to turn, slip inside, inside. Ate one of those, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was fun. Okay, we've also got a pull, which is nothing more, some people call this a rock. When he throws the punch directly at me, what I'm going to do is, my weight's at 50-50, I'm going to let my weight drop to 70% on the rear foot. When the punch comes in, I'm slightly letting this just come out. I don't have to have any hand work at all. I can use a cuff or a catch if I want to feel extra safe, have some extra protection there. But when he throws, a little bit of a lean back. It's just called pull. But immediately, I want to come back. Bad mistake with the pull is to stay back. You can throw this, me staying rocked back here. My weight's off, it's going to keep hitting me. It's going to go low for a shoot. So real slow again. Pull, 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 pull. Want to exchange a few off of this? Pull. Okay. Now we can use the rear hand, our lead hand, to help us out with our defense as well. When he throws the jab, I can use a cross glove parry or a cuff from the opposite hand. I use my lead hand. Let me turn it. Where previously I used this hand to put the cuff in, my lead hand will give the cuff. Same dynamics here, where I'm sweeping in, circling back to my body. I'm not getting any kind of extra blow right here. Again, not an inner forearm block. Go again. There's the motion. There's the motion. 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 Circle it back. I'm going to throw. Cuff. There you go. Optimally, where I'm catching him, inside the wrist, blowing it out. Moving this out of the way. Natural follow-ups out of something like a cuff, because some people think this is going to bring you out of position. I can put a show jab behind it by cuffing, immediately stepping in with the shot. As an example, cuff, and immediately come in on top of this with my jab. Another technique I can use if my hands are in a low reference position, which if I'm smart they never will be, but if for some reason I've just thrown, perhaps I shot low, I'm in here, and he's thrown his jab on top, and I don't have time to come up with these other motions we just talked about. What I'm going to do is, since I've already been protecting my jaw anyway through good stance, if I throw low, I got this shoulder up, I'm going to put my shoulder in front of the jab. So if my hands are in low position, I just feed them a shoulder. Notice I'm turning with the hips and the feet to put the shoulder in front of it. Just turn on this side for a moment. Again, jab. Let's turn it. Trade a few. Throw. And again, what we're doing here in the drill looks like we're aiming for the shoulder, but we're not. We're going straight down the line. This does him no good in the drill if I'm punching his shoulders, because that's not what someone's doing in the street. Going for the jaw. So he goes for my jaw, shoulder, jaw. Get the idea. Last thing we can do against the jab here is just going to be nothing more than a step back. It's exactly what it sounds like. When he throws the jab, I use my lead foot to propel me backwards. He throws the jab, step and drag back. Jab, step and jab, drag back. Again, here. We've already done the footwork. We're just applying it to a defensive capacity here. Again, boom. And we'll trade those back and forth. I'll throw. There you go, about 8 defenses against the jab. Work all those as an independent drill. Best way to do this would be put at least one 3-minute round on each drill and then start mixing, matching all 8 of those defenses. When defending against a cross, a lot of these things are going to look similar to our defenses against a jab. Difference being is you're not going to see the cross nearly as much because the jab's the bread and butter. People can keep that in your face more often. 2, cross, since it's traveling from the rear side of the body, it's going to have a lot more wind-up, a lot more torque, a lot more power in it. So there's a few things you can't do. And the main difference is I can't catch a cross. So for example, if he's throwing a cross, I just want to open up his glove and put it in front. No matter how hard I smack this thing, his force is still going to give me some blow back and it's going to catch me right in the face. So, first defense against a cross whenever he throws, I'm going to cuff this thing like we've already done. We know short motion, out, smack it, travel right back in a small circle, right back to the chest. He throws the cross, cuff. With my, he's throwing his cross on the same side of the body. I'm working as a mirror right here. So he throws on this side of my body is going to give me the cuffing motion here. So throws, just the cuff, 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 cuff. Let's turn. Cuff, 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 cuff. Let's turn. Trade a few. Going across for you. Okay. Another way to block up this cross as it comes in is to provide a cover or just a block. What I'm going to do here, it's probably best to go ahead and turn this one around. Still with this cross, the path is coming directly in. I didn't have time to get on the outside of it for my cuffing position. So I'm taking my glove up over my ear. And I'm taking my elbow to the inside. I'm not winging it to the outside. Bringing the inside of my body as such. And then I'm going to bend my knees. If you just do this motion without bending your knees, you stop the punch from hitting your face. You're still going to rattle your brains all to hell. Your legs bending at the knees even more so acts a little bit as a shock absorber. Takes some of the sting out of this thing. So whenever he throws, I'm here, I'm covered, and I bend at the knees. Again, here, here, here. Keeping the shoulder hunched up at the same time. Again, here, here. Bend at the knees. Here, here, here. Okay, we're going to trade a few now. Well, simple enough. Make sure though, if you do a few of these without bending the knees, you're going to feel it the next day. We're going to feel in the next 10 seconds anyway. Let's go ahead and look at we used our slips last time, inside and outside slipping. Same thing against a cross. When he throws this cross, slipping the outside. My preference is slip away from this tool. Again, I turn my body in the direction that I want to slip, and I bend at the knees, not the waist. He throws the cross. There's my outside slip. There it is. He throws the cross, I can slip inside again. Turn that direction, turn that direction, that direction. Just got to worry about this tool coming in. Throw again. Got to watch that hand. And again. All right, so let's turn. Let's go ahead and start a few of these. I'm going to throw a cross, slip outside, cross. Slip inside when I throw the cross. All right. We can also use a cross glove parry or a cross glove cuff like we did against the jab. It throws this cross. My rear hand, which I've used previously as a catch against the jab, will come in, give me that small circular motion we've been talking about the entire time. Throws again. There it is. There it is. Way through. We'll trade a few. I'll throw. Bam. Just as we did before, talking about our arms being a low reference position, we've also got the ability, if I've just thrown again down low and he's throwing a cross over the top against me, I got to be able to stop this cross. So again, he's aiming for the jaw. I put the shoulder in front of it. Notice I got my rear hand pulled up for cover at the same time. Lots of times when doing this roll against a cross, you'll see commonly to take the lead hand and drop it across the midsection and keep this one plastered against the jaw and your lead shoulder against the your lead side of the jaw. This prevents whenever he's throwing against the cross, a natural follow-up is going to be a hook. If it's throwing as a high hook, I'm already covered up. If he's throwing against it's a body hook, my glove's already covering up the solar plexus. But right now we're just worried about covering against the cross, but I'm still going to this proper rolling position. So we throw this cross, there's the roll. There's the roll. The roll. Again. Again. There. Turn it. Again. Again. Let's turn it back. Let's trade some. Throw, roll. Okay. Now we pulled against the jab, we can pull against the cross as well. Whenever he throws the cross, I'm going to rock my weight from 50 percent to 70% in the back leg, and I'll be able to snap myself back in. Remember, I don't stay out of range. I got to get right back into my 50-50 base. There's the cross. There's the pull. 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 Okay, we'll trade a few. See the immediate return to base after each pull. Throwing. Okay, one last defense for the cross. We did the step back before, we'll do the step back again. Same thing when he throws the cross, my lead foot allows me to shove my weight back while I step in direct. So the lead foot pushes, I step with the rear foot, always stepping with that direction, pull me back. Lead foot gives me a little bit of power, here's your step back. So he throws the cross, step back, cross, step back, cross, step back. Okay, a few traded, I'll throw. There you go, 8 more defenses, this time those against the cross. Mix and match them now with your jab cross drills all the way. We could do this all day and make a tape, 4 hours long trying to show you all the different permutations, but let's give you the basic building blocks, let your creativity take them and put them together. We're going to defend against the lead hook now. Remember we talked about the rear hook. You can work these on the opposite side of the body if you think you've got people who are throwing the rear hook against you. But if you already worked some good solid technique, by the time he throws off that rear hook, go ahead. I'm in his face the entire way. Lead hook's a hard punch to read lots of times, so you got to make sure we have a good defense against it. First basic defense you're going to need is just nothing more than a cover. Now we covered against the straight cross whenever this came in. Remember I took the glove over the ear, elbow to the inside, and dipped the knees. Same thing applies on the hook. One last thing, I will dip at the knees and move slightly to the inside of the body, take a little bit of sting off this punch, and you're shortening the arc on this punch. So when he throws that hook, again, covering up the ear, elbow to the inside. Some of you might be wondering, case, why the elbow's to the inside. If I throw this combination here, take the elbow to the outside. If I'm throwing hook combination directly to an uppercut, he's already giving me that line open. Where if he's got his elbow already on the inside, he's already giving the elbow point right on top of the fist. So when he throws the hook, cover, elbow across the ear, hand across the ear, elbow to the inside. I dip the knees. Again, my knees are the shock absorbers. If I stay straight up on these things, I've stopped the punch from hitting my head, but I'm still going to be rocked by this thing. So I got to dip the knees and bend slightly to the inside. By the way, it's a great place to put in your free head butt we talked about earlier. So when he throws, it'd be here, and running the head directly through the face. Won't do that now, we're just doing our cover. So when he throws, there's the shot. Shot. See, I'm bending and going to him. Let's turn this. Also notice at no time when we're doing any of these do we leave our basic position. Our hands are up the entire way. So when I'm defending against the hook, you don't get into this pull back position at all. We're right here the entire time. We'll trade some hooks. I have the covers on them. I'll throw first. Easy enough. Don't want to do too many of those because that gets old really fast. Now we can take this same cover we had and make the little dip at the knees a little bit more extreme, and we come out with a duck coming up underneath the punch. So when he throws the hook, give me an exaggerated hook, something here that we just sweeps across. So I'm still going to have my cover hands in position, elbow to the inside, glove on the ear, bending at the knees, but this time I'm going more extreme in my dip. And whenever I dip in, I'm going to describe the letter V. I'm going down one angle of the V here. When I come up, I'm coming up the other angle of the letter V, coming up the inside of the body. So when he swings, dip, dip. Again, V, V. Of course, my hands will be up. Just look at where the legs are. Here and here. If I come up on the outside of the arm, great and good. If he's throwing with proper form, though, he's going to bring it back in. I'll probably more than likely come back into the chest area. So when he throws the hook, okay, he's got his hook coming in. Go ahead, dipping under the fist. Lots of times you're going to come up, you're going to feel yourself ramming into his forearm. You're just trying to close the gap, get on the inside. Throw the hook. There's the duck. I'm in this side, in the inside. He's eating the free headbutt. We got the takedown, the clinch. I'm ready for my inside fighting with the uppercuts again. So throw. There's the duck. There's the duck. There's the duck. Traveling on the V. Let's trade a few right here. Lead hook. I'm throwing. There it is. There you go. Now, the next defense we're going to use against the hook is a cross-glove parry again. Whenever he throws this hook, if I feel like I can there's a little bit of a pull involved with this. If I slightly pull my body back, we've already talked about these pulls, I'll put my lead glove in front of it as if this is a focus mitt. I'm actually slapping into his glove. So he's actually providing him with the target. So he comes in. Now some people say, why don't you just pull and let the punch travel past? No problem with that. We find by stopping this momentum up, it does not allow him to fire off this rear hand nearly as well. If I let him finish up that trajectory, he's already loaded off on that back shoulder. So here, he's got to get reset, and I have the time to put in my show jab, which is going to cover up my rear hand. So when he throws the lead hook again, a little bit of a pull, and notice I'm not coming out here. I'm just coming out about 6 to 8 inches in front of the face, slapping the glove. He throws, little pull. Let's turn it. Sure you hear the impacts. Again, you're showing I'm really trying to stop this punch up. We'll trade a few. I'll hook first. Let it up. Hold on. Get towards the head. Into a drill right now. You're hitting in front of me. Towards the head. Okay. Okay. That's how you do the cross glove block. Last thing we can do against this hook, we've done a step back against a jab and a cross. Let's not ignore it because it works perfectly well here. When he throws this jab again, pushing out the lead foot, stepping with the rear foot, and dragging back. So when he throws the hook, bam, there's the footwork, hook, footwork, again, footwork, hands up, footwork, footwork, footwork with the step back. Okay, we'll trade a few. I'll throw first. Okay, there you go. Good defenses against the lead hook. Now you get your jab, your cross, and your lead hook defenses. We're going to look at how to defend against the uppercuts now. Again, we're infighting at this point, so we don't have as many tools available to us on our defense arsenal right now. When he throws an uppercut, one of the best things you can do against this is just use your forearms to block. So if he's throwing his lead uppercut, because most of the time when you're throwing an uppercut, your target area is going to be the solar plexus whenever it travels all the way up to the jawline and catches the chin, just because someone's kind of angled their body out. This will work whether they're going for the solar plexus or the jaw. Just bringing your forearm in and across so it catches through here, and I've got my glove still directly on my jaw to protect the entire uppercut line. So he throws it. Bam! There's a shot. Shot. At the same time, you will notice I'm bending my knees. I know he's bending his knees to get some power in the punch, but that means he's wanting to get underneath me, just like in wrestling. The guy with the lower level on the hips is usually going to be the winner. Same thing in the power of this shot. So whenever he's dipping his legs, I'm going to dip at the same time so he doesn't have a lot of extension to come up on me. So the forearm block, I dip with him. Turn a little bit. Again. Same thing would apply whenever he's throwing the rear uppercut. Forearm block, I dip, and put the forearm in front of it. Notice it's really more a matter of me turning and angling my body than it is me trying to move my elbows around. Keep my body in position, keeping the parallel forearms. Again, the reason it is called the box, just turn with the body. Again, rear. Again, turn back over here. Do lead to rear. Lead to rear. Lead to rear. So forearm block on both sides. Now we'll trade some. I'll throw first, lead to rear. You get the idea on that one, pretty easy. We can also use cross glove blocks against these uppercuts. When he throws his lead uppercut, he's throwing it with his right hand. My right hand's going to come out and smack this glove. I'm dipping at the knees and it's smacking directly down on top of that glove. Okay, he throws. There's the block, 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 block. Again, I'm giving it some impact. Let's turn. We can do this as well against the rear uppercut. Cross glove block. He's throwing the lead in his left. So I'm smacking with my left. Again, it's like a cuff, except coming down at this vertical angle where against the jabs and the crosses, I'm circling back to the chest here. I'm hitting, but I'm circling right back up to the jaw. Rear again. Here, 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 here. Let's turn. Lead to rear. Glove, glove. Again, glove, glove. Again, glove, glove. Again, glove, glove. Let's trade. I'll open. Get the picture on that one. We can also do pulls against the uppercut. When he throws the uppercut, remember we talked about on the body, on the jabs and cross, taking the body out. A little bit of a pull will also defend against this uppercut. When he throws the lead one, I angle my body straight out. Since we know this is his target area, but am I leaning this out and this is going to loop straight up this area? If I stay in line for it, it's looking to dig from here to here. All I have to do is take my angle out of line. So he throws that, boom, uppercut, uppercut, uppercut. If I want particular safety on it, go ahead, keep throwing. I can put another cross glove in there. Because all these can be mixed and matched throughout any portion of your training. Let's turn it. Rear uppercut, I can pull against that. Pull, pull, pull. I can combine it with, go ahead, pull and glove. Let's turn it. Lead to rear, trading, just doing pulls on each of them. We'll put a little bit beat of time in between each one to give time for the pulls to have a snapback. So I throw these pulls and a pull, pull, pull. Pretty simple. Also pretty simple, if we use the step back everywhere else, we might as well use it here as well. Whenever he gives me his lead uppercut, again, pushing off the lead foot, stepping with the rear foot, and dragging my lead foot back. So he throws that uppercut. There's my step back again. Again, same thing, turn. He throws that rear uppercut. Again, 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 again. Turning, lead to rear, steps in. There. It's tough to get that one in drill because no one usually is going to do an advancing rear uppercut. So usually it's just good enough to step back on either one. So what we're going to do is we're going to trade. I'll throw one punch, either a lead or a rear uppercut. He'll step back, and he'll pick either a lead or a rear, and he'll step back. Throwing. Pretty simple there. Now we talked about the uppercuts, we've talked about picking off the hooks, we've talked about taking off the jab and the cross. Now we talked about the jab, cross, and hooks, we defend it all against the high angle. People will also hit the body. Pretty simple defenses against these lower shots. If he's throwing a low jab, I put my lead elbow in front of it. Again, put the elbow in front of it. That's it. Just an elbow block, very similar to what you did with the uppercut. Turn. Again. Right there. Again. Okay, turn. If he throws the cross, I can put either elbow in front of it. I can put the lead, I can put the rear. Doesn't matter. Notice I'm not taking my elbows out from my body, which will open up a rib line if he's throwing a combination lock. So when he throws the cross again, keeping them tight. Keeping them tight. Keeping them tight. Jab, cross, low. Right here. Again. Again. Again, we can trade these. I'll go low, jab, cross, and you return. Also, what we can do against these low jab crosses is we can scoop these. When he throws his jab, he's throwing with his right arm, my left arm. It's going to come down and smack to the outside. It's a smack, scoop, whatever you want to call it. We call it a scoop. When he throws the jab low, come on top of it. It's like a glove parry, just take him to the outside. There's a scoop, 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 scoop. Let's turn it. Same thing against a cross. Now he's throwing his left, my right. We'll do the scoop. Scoop, 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 scoop. Turn it back. He throws the jab cross, 2 scoops. We've got a scoop, scoop, again, scoop, scoop, again, scoop, scoop. Now we're going to trade that back and forth. I throw, scoop, scoop, 2, there, 2. Yeah. Okay. We use the step back in all arenas of blocking these shots out. Do the same thing against the low jab, cross, pretty self-explanatory, but one time, for posterity's sake, if there's a low jab or a cross, push off the lead foot, step with the rear, drag back. Again, low shot, step and drag. Again, step and drag. Again, step and drag. Gets the low body hooks. Again, I can trade that drill back and forth. I think we're getting the idea at this point. When he throws the low body hook, putting the elbow in front of it again. Bam. I turn my body towards it. Again, I'm not taking this away from it. I see this is pretty common. People see that coming in and go, well, I'm blocking here. But then that punch will loop around and catch me in the short ribs. I'm going to be feeling that for some time. So I keep my elbow on my body and advance my hip towards it. And I dip at the knees to give me a little bit of a shock absorber effect at this point. Bam. 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 Pretty self-explanatory there. We'll trade a couple of those. I'll throw first, low lead hook. Notice again the bending of the knees the entire time. Also the step back, which is universal. We'll put the step back here. He throws the low lead body hook. Step back. I'll throw it. He steps back. Again. 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 So you think about it. We've taken all 5 punches, and we've also subdivided according to levels, and we put in some defenses there as well. And we showed you, my recommendation would take each defense and give them each some independent rounds on their own. Then start mixing and matching. Like I said, again, I could sit here and tell you a myriad of ways to put these together, but it's going to get to be pretty self-explanatory. You start playing with them, let your creativity go to work. It could be nothing more than him throwing a high jab and a cross. You know, I got a cuff, I've got a cover. He can throw a high jab and a cross, and I've got a catch and a parry. There's a high jab and a cross, and I got a catch and a shoulder block. You start putting all these different permutations together, that's where you start getting your boxing system going. We'll explain a little bit more about that when we get to a couple of flow drills to give you some examples of that. We're going to defend the remaining portions of the arsenal. We got to defend against the pivot punch, again, which was the forearm strikes. We got to defend against the elbows. We got to defend against the headbutts. We also have to defend against the shoot. Now we've talked briefly. We're discussing a stance where we're standing at 12 and 8 o'clock. We're talking about even though it's extreme boxing, boxing still at the early pre-rule period had some throws in it, so they were well aware that the shoots could come in. So we got to go ahead and keep prepared for that, particularly in this day and age of mixed martial arts. What we're going to use is boxing is already, our stance is very similar to a staggered stance as you would find in freestyle wrestling. Staggered stance would be nothing more than taking our 12 and 8 and extending it out even more. Kind of looks to some degree like a traditional forward stance. I hate to make that comparison, but it kind of looks that way. But in wrestling, they're using it first for their staggered stance position. So what will happen when a shoot is occurring? Hold this drum, Corey. I'm going to set this up. I'm going to step out with my rear foot. I'll just leave my lead one in place because I got to have base with this one. We're assuming if he's shooting, he's going for his double leg or his single leg, his high single, low single, whatever. I'm pushing off with the lead foot, stepping back with the rear foot. Now the handwork on this is my lead hand, my lead elbow drops to my knee, palm up. My rear hand, palm down, goes to the knee. Okay, now this is a real open, exposed looking position, but we're going to show you how this works in action here in just a moment. But again, we take a look, drop back, there's position. Lead elbow to the knee, lead palm facing up, rear hand to the rear knee. Again, there's the motion, there's the motion, straight on, motion. Notice whenever I'm doing this, I'm just traveling further back on my 8 o'clock angle. I'm not taking this straight back. It will kind of get me a little bit more narrow-based, a little bit more precarious, harder to stop this shoot. So back, and back, and back. Now, this hand position, which makes it look like I'm leaving my head exposed, but if he's going down for his shoot, I know he's dropped his hips low, he's got to be coming in at this angle. This is protecting my legs. If he's shooting against the legs and he gets any kind of a back hook up around the backs of my knees, or he's got his shoulder driving in through my hip, chances are I'm going to lose base. And we know we can't use a sprawl against this, but this is where you try to drop into this staggered underhook position, assuming that we saw the shoot coming in from a distance, and we can set this up. If we can't, then we'll hit into the sprawl, which we'll do next. This position will allow me, when he shoots in, I have both my arms protecting my legs out. I can get double underhooks underneath his armpits, ready to turn him, pancake him, set him up for whizzers, whatever I need to do. So in real slow motion, Corey will shoot in on me. I'm in my boxing position. Whenever he comes in, I drop into this position here. So we see, if I spin this elbow to the knee prevents him from getting a clear hookup. His head can't come to my side, and he also cannot get a clear hookup on my leg. This will block everything up on my lead leg. If we come to this side, if he happens to shoot in and then spin off to the side, this arm is already protecting this leg. So I'm in underhook position no matter which leg he shoots for. So again, he shoots in, I drop into the staggered position right in here. So I'm already set up. Now I'm not just going to leave these here. This is not going to be one static bracing position. So whenever he shoots, he comes in, I'm already blocked up, ready to start turning him down. Continue to stay on our feet if we want to and throw the shots, or take this down to a ground game, which we're not doing right now. So again, whenever we're throwing the punches, we know we can't shoot back and forth. He's got to be able to reach me with the punch, and a good way to drill this sort of thing is not alone just doing this to shoot back and forth. We'll trade a couple of shoots. I'll come in on you, you go to staggered. Here. Now you can start throwing some punches in the air. You can put the gloves on if you want to. We've taken them off at this point to make sure we can see our hand positions here. I'll do the shoot here, just making sure that you're able to mix and match these to some degree. Again, just dropping down into this staggered position. Now this assumes I see this shoot coming in time for me to hit this. If I was a little bit late dropping this position, I would go directly into the sprawl, which is nothing more than, whenever he shoots in, my hands are in a high position. I'm going to hit him with my near hip. This is nothing more than taking my hip in, dropping my feet out and away, and pushing my hips through the entire way. If I would ride him all the way to the floor, when I get to the floor, I'm going to be digging in with the toes of my feet and pushing my hips through the mat and arching my back. And it's just not me laying my entire flat portion of my pelvis against him. I'll pick out one side of the pelvis to really cut through against him. So if he drives in, it's hard to do this one very slowly. We'll shoot you on this side. Whenever he shoots in, I miss my staggered setup position. Since this is my near hip, I'm going to sprawl my legs back and hit him with this hip right in here to help give me the ride and arch my back through the entire way. If we had him coming in with any kind of momentum, he shoots, my sprawl is going to bring him all the way down. Again, notice on the sprawl, this is getting dangerously close into wrestling territory, but it still matters in this boxing the way we do it, because we do shoot in behind the punches all the time. If I use my flat of my hips against him on his shoot, go ahead. He's got better base at this point. I still am on top, but notice he's got his hands hooked behind my knees. If he's able to get his, bang your knee to the mat and suck me up here. Okay, he's still got me off the mat. So I'm using the flat of my hip. Let's get to that same position. I use the hip cut. I got my near hip into him. Get your near knee under you. I can create more weight by cutting one hip through him. So, for a drill, you got either the staggered underhook position or dropping all the way into the sprawl, but paying close attention to using this hip cut. So if we go back and forth, we can choose to either use this hook or the sprawl. We'll do a little drill going back and forth here. Pick either one. I'll shoot first. So blocking the shootout is really a lot more technical than that. There's many more things you can do. Those are going to be your bread and butter, though. Even if you got a good freestyle wrestler, the staggered, the underhook, going in the sprawl position, be two of your more important tools. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how to block out these elbows we talked about. As the elbows are coming in, I can jam this thing up. We know there's a shorter arc on this than a punch, and we're assuming that you're just not throwing an elbow blindly. You're not going to see an elbow thrown from this range, the outside. Everything's going to be done from in here. Lots of times, by staying active on your offense, throwing lots of punches, going to prevent this person to have an opportunity to let their elbows wing in. But if they do, here's a few options for you. One is nothing more than jamming. When he throws an elbow, I'm going to hit him in the shoulder, or in the head, or in the throat. It's hard to do these things nicely, but here's my shoulder jam, there's my throat jam, and I can also jam on the head. Just hit him in the head. You see me using this hand as a check. It's tough for me to leave that out after natural hab. I'm going to drop this out of the mix for a moment. Throw your elbows, jam, jam, jam. Just hit head, throat, shoulder at any point. Now if we're just playing this inside mix, he and I just going very lightly here. Occasionally whenever he's throwing in the elbow shots, I just keep checking against his shoulders the entire way. Now we can also combine something that's not necessarily was in the previous version of the boxing system. We have something we're copying away from Filipino systems, which works really well from here. It's just taking variations of the catch like we use against in the jab. When he throws his elbow, I can use a hand just to put in front of it, allow it to receive into either hand. Now I know optimally, if we want to keep a flow drill going, I'd have my same side hand do the catch. But we find when we're this close and things are being thrown really, really quickly, it doesn't matter which one is getting the catch in here. So if we're throwing, again, the technique on this, let me turn you, when he throws, if it's the near side hand, just open it up, receive it just like a jab catch. Far side hand, again here, please. So I can cross it, so I can near side or cross, either one. Let's go back and forth, have you just throw elbows back and forth, here, throw, here. So I'm doing a cross hand on each, cross hand on each. I'm exploded away from him in the distance. We know we're not going to fight from this position. Just getting used to doing the catching. And then I can start sneaking myself in as I get used to fearing this a lot less. Also when I'm doing my catching, as I get closer, notice I start angling my forearms in. I'm not staying straight up and down, because this starts hurting like hell when you get nicked in the forearm all the time. I'm letting him catch. There's a little bit of a ramping down motion here. So he's throwing here, 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 here. Then you start mixing him with some punches. Have him throw some punches that I'm picking off. So it's here. So I'm picking up the punches, some catches, cuffs, parries, things we covered in the previous defensive chapters, and then putting in the catch. My hands happen to be in a low reference position whenever he throws his elbow. For example, if I've just thrown perhaps low level right in here, and then we got the elbow coming in, and I'm not particularly in a great position to put my catches in. It'd be nothing more than just called a lift, which is pretty much the same thing as doing an upward catch. I can either use a palm up motion, or I can just have this forearm come up with it as if I'm cupping back to a cover against a hook or a cross. So from this I've got two ways to lift. You throw. I've got this motion again, here, 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 or I've got this forearm bringing my hand back to my ear motion right in here. So we can take that off of both sides. Whenever he throws, I can work here, 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 or I can work here, 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 here. Now this drill has a tendency to has an artificial look to it, because we're slightly in the outside exploded range, and it's really hard to train elbows with any sort of accuracy for how they're actually going to land in the match, unless you kind of get in close and start going this low level right in here, and have your partner occasionally say, okay, we're putting some elbows in here, we're going to try and check them out and put some lifts in this area. So instead of staying with an artificial construct of an elbow drill, which is some great reference positions there, I'd rather like to see them kind of sneak out of this mix. So again, if I'm just throwing some punches here, and he'll just play the dead body and occasionally raise the elbows up. So right now, I don't have to think about too much other than the fact that I'm going to be defending that elbow whenever that comes in. So I've either got to catch it or lift it up and out of the way. It's not a pretty looking drill, by any stretch of the imagination, but it gets a little bit closer to the practicalities of how these things come in. Again, I think if you're working with an overwhelming offense and you're staying covered the entire way when you're throwing, it's going to be hard for these elbows to actually find their mark. Lots of times the elbows are really nice when someone just really exploded are in opened up, holding some kind of open reference position. So, but if they're pretty tight, elbows are going to be tough, and it just sneak through these areas anyway. Now, if we want to defend against the headbutt, we're going to take that same shoulder, throat, head jam that we're using against the elbow positions here. So when he throws the headbutt, I got to do nothing more than block right in here. Anything close or directly on the head. So if we're in close for headbutts, we see it's coming in. Anything opportunistic, just this shoving with the forearm, the hand, me dropping low, hitting my own headbutt against the shoulder to stop this thing from coming into me, it's going to stop it up. As far as drilling that goes, drop it down low, because you really can't work your headbutts into your sparring with any sort of realism, because again, you're going to hurt each other. So really, elbows and headbutts are in, but you can train the punches with a lot more realism, and so you're going to always have to take this at a lower level when things are worked up, jam against these things, and keep in mind the punches where it's all going to be at. At the same time, I recommend safety equipment, always wearing your boxing glove, you got your elbow pads on the entire way, defending the shoots the entire way. Now, blocking against the pivot shots, basically you have to do nothing more than the cover. Remember, we had the cover when he threw the lead hook, was nothing more than doing this motion here. So whenever he's throwing these back pivot shots, the cover will take care of it again. So let's say he throws, misses a hook, and he's coming back on this side, miss with the hook, come back. So my cover is nothing more than raising up, covering the ear, bringing my elbow to the inside, and again, lowering my knees so I can get some shock absorber effect out of my legs. So he throws, misses, and there's the pivot shot. Again, pull, miss, throws, I pull, miss, throw, pull. Same thing off the opposite side. If for some reason he's throwing this wild haymaker rear hook, misses, there's his pivot shot, cover, bend the knees, cover, bend the knees. Again, these things are, pivot shots are tough to put into your sparring. The reason they were dropped out of boxing in the first place is they build up so much force. So if they do actually catch you in the soft tissue, it's a dropper and probably will on the way do some cervical vertebra damage, which makes them very interesting to us. That's why we put them back in the system. So for your overall mix, we took these up from your punches to your elbows, your headbutts, what have you. As far as your defense goes, we've showed you how to do these things offensively in the arsenal. We've shown you all the defensive tools against these. Now, I can sit here and go on forever about putting these things together and their different combinations for the drills, but to save you time, you just go through, drill them independently, start mixing them together, then put the gloves on, and you start turning your own little sparring session into a laboratory, finding out what works for you, and see what comes out, because it's going to be a little bit different every single time because of the alive energy that you bring to it. We're going to talk about combinations now. We've got the arsenal put together. You got your defense put together. Some of the your training needs to continually progress. You've got to work through your combinations. Best way to work the combinations are your focus pads. This allows you to get your timing. You can work some power on this. Heavy bags are great, but they don't move. The focus pads kind of give you a little bit more aliveness with what you're doing. At the same time as running through some combinations, we're not going to give you every combination that ever existed because that's just limited by your creativity. There could be hundreds and thousands of these things. We're going to try and give you maybe a top 10, a top 12 combinations, and from there take all the previous arsenal and start creating your own. Just try and make sure that they make some sort of sense in how you put them together. Usually if you're throwing something off the right side of the body, make sure something off the rear side of the body flows back and forth so you're able to constantly shift your weight back and forth with your hips. Same time we're doing the combinations, you kind of get some ideas of how you, when you're the person's holding the focus pad, your feeder, is setting these combinations up for you. They can start finding holes in your defense and start smacking you back sometimes to help you keep tight the entire time. So if I see him drift away from good elbow position or good chin position, I'll be able to slap back with the gloves at the same time to keep some aliveness while the combination is going on. So you always want to punch or throw any kind of striking combination whenever you can because you get a better shot of hitting anything. It's like using a scatter gun whenever you're shooting. It's a lot better shot of catching something, and it's harder for him to react. Sure, he might have all of his defense down. If I'm only throwing jabs all the time, he's going to be able to predict that. But as soon as we start adding multiples on this, harder to see anything coming in. Whenever, as a feeder, a little bit of a key on this, I see a lot of people just hitting focus pads all the time, but it's usually best to slap back at the same time using the pads. You start fraying out your elbows here a little bit. So whenever he's throwing a jab, it's just not me holding it stationary, which will start flapping me back here. When he throws a jab, you actually see me slapping into this glove as well. Allows him to start feeling some more impact, throw the cross, but it saves my arms at the same time. If he throws any kind of hook, I'm slapping these at the same time. Let's have a cross again. Also keeps me aware of the time whenever we're doing all of our catching and our parrying, how active we are with our own defense. So I get to watch him. I'm watching for him to drop his shoulders. I'm watching for him to raise his jaw up. I'm watching for him to wing his arms out, getting into kind of swimming with this. Like I said, we're going to take some basic combinations, show you how these work, show you how you can walk around so you can, when you get together with your partner, your training partners, how to feed back and forth for one another. First combination we're going to take is just a double jab. Since we know the jab is the bread and butter, we're going to make sure that we can work through this in combination. When you are throwing a combination, you want to make sure that you're always retracting directly back to where you started from. I don't want two ships passing in the night. I want to see this kind of thing going on. Okay, you got to make sure one comes back, I feel it on the jaw before the other one comes out. So we're already right back into a recovery position. So when you throw a jab, it's not going to be a little vibration of a jab, halfway back, a second jab. It's going to be two distinct punches, okay? Jab, double. There you go, good. Yeah. Yeah. Cover. Staying nice and covered the entire time. Okay, I just flap in there, make sure that he's getting used to being pelted sometimes when you throw these punches out. Off the double jab, let's take a look at the 1-2 combination, which is a jab cross. Just throws, watch he's got the weight shift. He turns into the punch each time. We've already talked about these dynamics when we broke them up. Again, combinations, just trying to give you some ideas how to put these things together. Jab cross. Go with the cross, hook, cross. Pretty good infighting combination. Give me the straight, cross, lead hook, back to the cross. Good. Keep losing my focus, bad. Good. Good. Put a pivot on it after it's through. Pivot. Good. Pivot. 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 Good. Let's take jab, cross, lead uppercut. Jab, cross, lead uppercut, rear uppercut. So he's in movement the entire time. He's in short rhythm. Okay, let's have jab, lead, hook. This is the first combination we've shown that's off the same hand. So jab, right into the lead hook. Bam, bam, good, nice, nice. Bam, bam, good. Good. Bam, bam, good, good, good. Bam, bam, Okay, let's do jab, rear elbow. So he's going to throw the jab, bam, step in, bam, get the rear elbow set up in there. So, bam, bam, good. Jab, cross, lead elbow. Again, slow. So do jab, cross, lead elbow. Step in with that lead elbow. So jab, cross, step in. Again. Jab, cross, there it is. Reset the pad, and go. have jab, lead hook. I'm going to make a miss on the hook. It's going to have to come back with a pivot, outside pivot. So it's going to be jab, go to the hook, pull it out, back in with the pivot. Slow again. Jab, feed, make a miss. Sometimes when you're doing your focus pads, you're going to program some misses in here because lots of times you miss more often than you hit. So your fighter needs to get used to what it feels like to try and control their base when they're being pulled off. So again, jab, lead hook, pivot. Hit, miss, out, pivot. Again. Again. Good. Again. Good. Reset the glove. Again. Good. Now you're going to defend against the shoot. You're going to give me jab, cross, and shoot. Give me an underhook from the stagger, okay? Jab, cross, on the shoot. Good. Again. Notice both underhooks are in. Again. Again. Good. Jab, cross, sprawl. Jab, cross, sprawl. Excellent. Again, jab, cross, sprawl. Great. Hey, now let's take a look at throwing. Jab, cross, lead hook, headbutt. Gonna be bam, bam, here. Step in with the free headbutt. Again, 1, 2, 3. Set up, notice I just feed the glove across my shoulder. Again. Again. Good, good. Again. Again. Feed. Again. There you go. Go ahead and breathe. Get your breath for a moment. Okay, great round for the combinations there. Actually, you would take each combination, you can break them up into run individual rounds. We're just trying to give you some examples of how to feed, make some up as you go along, trying to implement all the arsenal that you've got. Feeding back, slapping on your man as you go. Then from there, to start using your imagination, you get all the entire arsenal, all your entire defense package, put it together. Okay, now we're into the fun part of the system. You've got your arsenal down, you've got your stance, your movement, your footwork, you've got your defenses down, and we looked at some combinations which are very, very, very important. Now we're going to start looking at flow drills, counter-punching drills. You can work this counter-punching, defending against shoots, elbows, what have you. What we're going to do is we're going to take one counter-punching drill and build it for you piece by piece and top this drill out. And then from there, you can pretty much imagine we've got, 50, 60 pages of these drills, but if we pay close attention how we build this drill, you can start building on your own, taking all the previous tools from the arsenal and the defensive arsenal, and you can see, oh, that makes sense, I can build this on myself. Just use a little bit of creativity and make sure you're just adhering to all the proper defensive principles all the way through. Make sure you're throwing with good form. Do lots and lots of mirror work, and then gradually progress to this. Everyone wants to jump to these kind of drills because they look like the most fun, because they are, but you got to have the mechanics down before you do all this. So we're going to start out with a low common denominator. I'm going to have him just throw a jab. I'm going to catch that jab. We've already seen that before. So he throws his jab. Here's the catch. Move. This is the first link on my flow chain. So he's working his offense by throwing his jab. I get to work my defense out against that same jab. Put another link on it now. I just stopped up his jab. He decides he wants to throw a lead hook off this same punch. So we've had the jab, which I've caught, and he gets to work in combination now. He throws a lead hook. When he throws that lead hook, we already know I've got 8 choices to do against a hook. What I'm going to do is cover, bring the elbow to the inside, bend the knees, and go in. So we've got the jab, lead hook. Okay, good. Put another link on the chain now. Starting to see how this stuff works. I'm going to start reacting offensively to him. I'm going to add in a cross. So my left hand, my rear hand shot is going to come at him, and he's going to slip this thing to the outside. So really slowly from the beginning, we have the jab, caught it, he throws his lead hook, and I give him my cover against it. The hand that just gave the cover, I'm going to throw the cross right at his face. He's going to just turn to my outside and slip that punch to the outside. We'll stop it there. Again, slowly. 1, 2, slip. Again. Right there, let's move that one around. Notice we're respecting each other, keep coming back to proper positioning each time, keep going. Put another piece on this chain. After he slips this hook, he's going to give me his own lead hook, but he's going to throw it to the body. I'm going to have to give an elbow cover against it. So when he throws the low lead hook, I'm covered here. But you got to remember, I'm retracting from here. So I've got to react in time to bring this back in. So I'm up here, retract to here. From the beginning, we got catch, cover. He slips, cover. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 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 Starts to have a little bit of a real feel at that point. It's a blast to do this. Now I'm going to start responding again. I cover against that low hook. I'm going to give him my own hook. I'm going to return with the high hook, which he will be covered for. But you notice he's already in good position for it because he's fighting with good form. His glove's up the entire way. Let's turn it this way. Gives me that low lead hook. I'm covered. I return a high lead hook. He's covered. Low, high, low, high. Beginning, let's count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, so I'm going catch, cover, slip, cover, cover. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he starts feeling like a real fight at that point. If people walk in, they don't know what to drill, you look pretty impressive, as long as you don't lose your concentration and screw up. Put another piece on this now. I've given him this lead hook, and he's covered. He's going to return with the lead uppercut. Okay? I don't have time to turn my entire body to put this elbow in front of it. That's what I'm talking about, taking educated choices when I'm putting these drills together. I'm going to pull this one down for a glove block. So I'm here, he throws, and put that glove on top of it. So he's just, one more time, just block here, and put the glove on top of it. So he's covered, glove block. Cover, glove, block, glove, glove. From the beginning, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again. Okay, let's put another piece on it. We'll make this the last piece. You'll have 7 steps. Hopefully see how you're building these things up. These things can go on to infinity. Rather than just keep burning up your time, take these things, take this one drill in particular, work it till you feel like you're perfect, then start changing the elements around. Go back again to that this vocabulary of arsenals and work them together. Last thing we'll put in here, he gave me the uppercut. I gave him the glove block. I'm going to return with my own high lead hook, which he's going to duck underneath it and shoot for a double leg. First, let's have you do the duck. So I blocked here. Bam, there's his duck. Remember, he travels down in the V, down the V, up the V. Again, uppercut, down and up. Again, 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 again. From the beginning, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Again. Okay, one last piece on it. Whenever he shoots this double leg, I'm going to give that sprawl. Remember, my near hip has got to cut into him as I take my legs back. So there's my sprawl position. So he's going to duck this lead hook and shoot, and I sprawl. To here. Again. Again. To here. Taking the beginning. So we're going to catch, cover, slip, cover, cover, glove, duck, sprawl. Catch, cover, slip, cover, cover, glove, duck, sprawl. Again. From that, you get the idea. There was 7 steps in that one particular flow chain. You can build these things all over the place and make them as long as you want, as short as you want. Constantly change the elements around, and you've got countless hours of fun and drilling fun. In one sense, this can prep you for sparring like nothing else. Let's talk about sparring. Give you a few notes of tips, things to look for whenever you're actually out there trying to get some ring time or some mat time. As far as sparring drills, you should always spar with the plan in mind. You shouldn't just be getting your partner, your opponent in front of you just thinking, oh, I need to beat the shit out of this guy. You should always have a goal when you step in the ring. You might be thinking, this time I'm working primarily defense. I'm working primarily counterpunching. I'm working primarily short rhythm, long rhythm. I'm primarily working my body shot game. Or I'm going head hunting on this particular game. I'm going to work my footwork on this particular game. Even if it turns out your partner has a different game plan altogether, which is lots of times good, you're trying to adhere to whatever your plan is at the time. Because again, sparring is not a fight. Sparring and fighting are totally different. Now, if you actually go grab yourself a professional amateur bout or get on the street, sure, your game plan is to destroy that person in front of you. But whenever you're doing a sparring session, there is a goal in mind each and every time. Also, I'd recommend you try and apply a level of speed or control whenever you're fighting. You can say we're going to quarter power, quarter speed, or half speed, or 3/4. You can go all out. It's best to try and keep the speed at maximum all the time, but we're saying quarter, half, 3/4, full. That's where you're actually talking about taking your power in and out the entire time. Because if you're really worried about taking a full contact shot where you're trying to work on a particular aspect of the game, which is a little bit tricky, and you're getting banged, you're not going to learn this at the optimum. So always play with a plan in mind, and keep your goal there the entire time. Make sure you got a good coach or you've got enough self-discipline to realize whenever you're falling outside of your particular plan to stop, and don't have enough, have your ego be safe enough to say, hey, I need to back this off a little bit so I can get down here and emphasize the things I want to look at. Like I said, we're going to work on counterpunching, defense, work a long-range fight, work the infighting, work on moving inside and outside, work the inside fight, move the outside fight. Say you're just going to work on the shooting or have your partner work on boxing and trying and shooting on you, and you stop. You just kind of mix up all the arsenal we had before and just keep mixing up your game plans the entire way just to make sure that you can keep your game sharp at the top of its game, and also just mix all the elements together. We can also continue to have more fun with the focus pads. Let me pull Corey back in here. We've, again, focus pads, one of the best ways if you're not actually going to be doing the flow drills, which are fantastic, or the actual sparring time. Focus pads are still a way to keep you in top physical prime ready for the fight. We already saw us apply these with combinations. Earlier we showed you how to put some of these things together. A few other drills you can work with the focus pads is one we call butterfly and the bee, which is pretty much your focus pad player will be moving around, dancing around the entire area, and whenever they stop and flash a pad, your job is to hit it whenever you can. So in other words, your person holding the pads is the butterfly, and you got to sting this thing whenever they slow down on you. A little bit of a quick demonstration of what we're working here. Lead rear uppercut. So you get the picture there. Just move around, lots of movement, trying to really find this moving target. Another really useful way to condition your punching, because whenever you are fighting, you need to, once you unload, you've got to keep unloading the entire way. It's comparable to people wanting to do straight blast from Wing Chun or JKD, but applying to the extreme boxing analogy, we can just take something as simple as jab cross combination. He's not throwing at full speed at all, but we've got constant motion. You put this kind of drill on a 3-minute timer and make your man work harder and faster, occasionally throwing in hook angles. Step out, let's turn the side, show how we fed in that hook angle. I'm just slapping into the gloves, occasionally pulling out wide to feed the hook, or pulling out long to feed an uppercut. Me pulling out wide gives him the cue about which punch I am looking for. Here, more than anything else, we're looking for him to keep his hands up, looking for him to keep constant motion, and build up the endurance. A lot of people fight really well when they only have to throw 16, 17 punches around. It's totally different when you get to throw with continuous movement the entire time. When we're fighting, we're not looking for the knockout right off. We're just trying to hit correctly. The knockout will come because people will open up the jawline or just open up the targets because you're filling in every space they've got. Double up on some of these punches. I'm going to give you right, left, right, right, left, right, left. It's just a short example of the rhythm punching and showing again it's only limited by your creativity, how you would put these combinations together. The job is to keep your man working the entire time. Get another drill to show you. We'll have to move over the wall to show you this. It's called shoe shine off the wall. I think you'll like this one a lot. Another focus pad drill. This was a lot of fun. We call this one just shoe shine off the wall. Just get yourself a solid surface, wall, door, octagon fence. What you can do is your trainer is going to give you pressure against this surface. Probably we're going to go ahead and tell you the best way we give pressure on the surface is we put lead shoulder in the center of the chest, and the other hand will drop low against the outside of the knee, inside of the knee, because we're pretty much aware that knees can be thrown at this point. So it's pretty much a good way to mount him against the wall. Occasionally I'll throw a shot or two just to make sure he's staying covered. Whenever I take pressure off of him, I'll flash the pads, and he'll be giving me straight shots, or if I flash them horizontally, he's giving me hook shots. If I flash them vertically, we're getting uppercut shots. We'll go ahead and run through maybe a little bit of rotation of this so you can take a look and see how this drill is going to kind of work out. You ready? Yeah. Hooks. Uppercut. So you notice every time he feels me back off of him, when the pressure leaves, he's ready to fill in that gap and leave behind. Straight. Hook. Uppercut. And out. That's it. So we do the shoe shine off the wall. Okay, we looked at the extreme boxing from primarily putting the gloves on, moving things around, taking a look at it from the sport aspect. I'm going to take a look at some street applications. We're not going to labor that point too far. I think if once we get a few concepts into how we're doing this in the street, it'll make total sense. Again, you're going to go back. I'm going to trust you on creativity to put some of these ideas together. What we're doing with the boxing, while we're primarily training with the focus pad equipment, with the boxing glove equipment, and training with lots of some of the boxing rules, is because boxing is a realistic feedback martial art, as is wrestling. We actually have some contact going on the entire time. Sure, there's lots of mirror work involved with boxing, lots of shadow wrestling involved with wrestling, but still yet the entire time you can get together with an opponent and actually do some drills, feel what it's like to get hit, exchange some hits, get used to seeing some body dynamics and how people are going to move. Now, we're going to say, how do we take and apply this to the street? One is I would recommend opening up your hands and striking with the heel of the hand. You can hit with the fist if you want to, but hopefully you're not going to be catching the point of an elbow or hitting too hard on the top of the skull and busting your hands up. Mine would go in a heartbeat. We're going to pull Corey in here for just a moment. You've already got a lot of the tools, the attributes that the boxing brought to you, which is some of the speed, the body dynamics, the footwork, having a good strong base. So whenever we're out in the street, we're so close already to a natural stance, how we're going to be moving. It's just a little bit of drop in the base will immediately set me off into a fighting stance. If we've already worked all of our drills, we can throw jabs and the crosses and everything, the top speed with maximum efficiency and power. Whenever it comes time to alter some of these weapons, for example, just turning some of these into a finger jab, just nothing more than a flick. Because again, we know no matter how big and strong someone is, how much steroids they've got, their eyelids are not conditioned, so even if they close these things up, we're going to be able to penetrate and go through these. Now, I don't actually have to go through and strike this guy for you to get that idea, but if we know that I can throw these same shots, lots of times if anyone's observed some street fights, you're not going to, obviously people don't start from this kind of reference point. It's usually more words to it. Things start out from this position. People are going to start with some sort of wild swinging. We know by keeping it tight, defensive shell, and coming straight out and down the pipeline, we're able to penetrate through, whether I choose to throw this with a closed fist, open fist, or the eye gouge. So the same thing, if we're just standing here and at any point he decides to haul off and hit, I'm just going to move directly into one of my boxing positions and come out with the eye jab at that particular time. So this shares a lot of, it's always in common with other street-oriented martial arts, whether it be Filipino arts, anything else in the JKD matrix, just taking the boxing speed and the attributes and applying it here. So you got the speed, the accuracy you build out of your focus pads. So what I can have him do is move through a variety of positions. He can grab me, single hand, two hand, turn and swing, and I'm just going to continue to shell up in the boxing positions and respond back, open hand, elbows, or throwing some shots. And again, obviously controls us, we're not geared up at this particular time. So moving, as soon as he makes any kind of motion towards me, I'll be able to drop into base and immediately hit. Go ahead, anytime. We're in, blocking the punch up, in on the eyes. Again, moves in on the eyes. Whenever someone's grabbing a hold of you, one thing we do anyway, we're kind of pleased with that. When someone grabs you, that means we now know where a hand is. So we're not ever going to be worried about, oh, I got to get rid of this. We're always like, whew, that's something that's not hitting me anymore. So we always leave these in place and go to work with our shots. So I'm sorry, hopefully it's not too disappointing to go, oh, I wish there was a lot more to it than that. No, usually when people are swinging, your job is immediately train yourself enough where your instinct brings you back to here and respond out of this pattern with no matter what they're doing. Because the meanest animal to get in on with your boxing is someone who is from a good defensive shell. But as soon as someone's in any kind of street fighting mode right here, we look how open it is, and you've trained so much against someone who's tight, this looseness becomes a buffet for you. So again, you can take a drill, you can gear someone all the way up, work on hitting these shots in, or you can leave it ungeared, let him just keep reaching in on you, and keep reaching out, going for, and you see I keep going with my lead hand because we know the jab is the bread and butter. So the same thing, the eye jab's going to be the bread and butter. The lead palm's going to be the bread and butter of everything we do. And all those arsenals we have, from the elbows to the pivot shots, those are going to be in place. So it's pretty much a no-brainer to see, oh, the boxing with the gloves on makes immediate transfers over into the street, as long as you're thinking about opening up your hands. Now we're going to take a look at a few ways of maximize your force if you're actually down on the mat or on the ground, on the pavement, and make your punches and your elbows hit a little bit harder down there as well. We're going to take a look at how to take some of the same principles we use with striking from on our feet to striking on the ground. We're not going to spend a lot of time with it because we're primarily still looking at boxing, assuming you kept the fight on your feet. If he goes down the mat, we're looking at wrestling, but still, yeah, I want to show you how the hips still should be coming behind lots of these techniques, and some little tips are going to help you out here, where I feel like some of the striking done from the ground in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, no matter how effective it is, there's still ways to improve upon it. So if I'll take the top saddle position, or mount position, as it's more commonly known. Whenever I'm throwing punches from here, we've probably all seen this little sermon on the mount that's given all the time. If he makes a fist, extends up, then we see that mine reaches here. I automatically have more range because I'm sitting on top of this guy. Fine, but see, this will only allow me to do arm punching. We talked about standing up. Arm punching is not what we're looking for. We want to be able to get our hips behind all of our shots. So one way we change this up whenever it's time for us to punch is we're going to pop up, place one knee across center line, focusing across the chest. I'm still pinching in tight the whole way, squeezing in. So this allows me, whenever I'm punching, to drop a hip into each shot, whether I'm throwing actual punches, palm strikes, or dropping the elbows in the entire way. I think you'll find is take a heavy bag or a floor bag, drop it on the mat, since you can't actually hit your training partner, you'll find you'll be able to get a lot more force. I mean, less force from here as opposed to popping up and be able to get this hip drop each time. You can hear the difference in this, how comfortable this man is as soon as I go to here. So we've got this, listen to his breathing, to here. A little bit more brutal way to play that game. If you feel like it's not safe for you to get your knee up and across the chest, you haven't had a lot of experience in the groundwork, and you don't know how to keep the dynamics of this position, you can't maintain it. If you're going to work from this mounted position, if you are going to hit, pick his head up off the mat and work from here. Still at the same time, I'm not just trying to swing at the arm, I'm advancing my hip towards each shot. Make these hit a little bit harder. Same thing will apply if I'm working crossbody. If I want to strike this person, I want to control the head up, away from the mat, kind of put him like in a half Nelson Pry. Still want to leave him on the mat, try and bang him this way, this way. Head's got too much give in it. We're trying to stabilize with it, and then put our strikes in. Instead of me just, again, with the arm, my hip, let me spin, tight bit, will be advancing in the direction that I'm punching. Spin back. So now this punch comes through. My hip, my right hip is also moving in towards the punch. So, in a nutshell, we're just pretty much trying to say where you get your transfers from your stand-up boxing. When you hit the mat, same thing. Find ways to put your hips behind the shot, and since you do have the ground, the planet Earth to back you up, it's best to stabilize his head on the mat because he's got no give, he's got no way to slip away or pull away from this punch. So, again, we're not really showing you how to maintain this ground position, just trying to show you, think hips behind everything, whether you're standing up striking or on the mat striking. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. You've got now all the necessary ingredients to go ahead and go to work with your training, to keep laboring the point again and again. You got your stance, your movement, your footwork, your arsenal, offensive, defensive, how to build combinations, your flow chains, how to work with the drills, suggestions on sparring. And again, you need to go back and rewatch a lot of this again and again and again. Get yourself in front of a mirror and make sure you got everything down picture perfect. Then get yourself in front of a partner and run through these drills. And then after that, start creating the drills on your own. Again, the creativity is up to you and your discipline, but use this as a reference base. We've given you everything we know at this particular point. Just take it and run from there and hope you have fun with it.